Well, hello, and welcome to Tom Rhodes Radio Smart Camp. Coming to you recorded live from Mount Dora, Florida. One of the most charming and adorable little villages in all of Florida. Mount Dora, more like Mount Adorable. There's so much negative, bad things in the world right now. People struggling, and it's just all it's such a bummer to look at the news. I thought I'd start this episode with a couple of happy stories. I read in the news today that the Netherlands, my beloved Holland, where I lived, they've been on a strict lockdown for the past month from COVID, and nail salons and hairdressers, barbershops, hair salons, those types of things have remained open. So the Van Gogh Museum and the Mauritshuis Museum outside of The Hague and a handful of other museums in Holland to protest that going to museums is also a necessity for human happiness. They let hairdressers and nail technicians come into the Van Gogh Museum and these other museums. And
that must have been interesting.
And cut
getting
hair.
Your hair done while you're in a museum.
Could you imagine sitting there, you're getting your hair cut and you're looking at like Van Gogh's masterpieces or his self-portraits or
I'd like it.
or his cherry blossoms. And then the nail filing people, they offered different specialties like Starry Night design you could get on your nails or cherry blossoms. So it's such there's a reason I fell in love with the Netherlands, and it's for that kind of smart, intelligent, fun-loving
different
ways of protesting and making a statement. And also I heard that comedians are doing shows in barbershops.
Wow, that's really good.
In Holland right now because the comedy clubs have been closed.
They used to do barbershop quartets. Now they're doing comedians.
Oh, that's a good point. Do you remember that? Where they just have like some guys doing a cappella in the corner while you're getting your haircut?
No, I'm sorry. It was before.
That was before you. Okay. The barbershop quartets. I guess when everybody was out of work.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe
four guys standing in the corner.
They just did it for fun.
Just because we like singing we like the echoes in the barbershop. So that was good news. And then also this past week there was a guy got a successful pig heart transplant.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, I wonder if he'll still keep eating bacon.
Good grief.
You think he might start dating other pigs now? Yeah, and there was a story where I know he'll never have a Muslim girlfriend. I know, or a Muslim person would never take a pig heart.
Oh my God!
You know, and there was a controversy about that story. Apparently, that guy had stabbed someone 7 times years earlier, and people were wondering whether or not he should be the recipient. But maybe that was it. Maybe they were like, it's just new technology, and they wanted to test it out on.
I'm not sure I approve of, animal parts on humans.
What do you think about that? That's kind of...
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So, yeah, okay. My mom is against animal parts in
humans.
What if people started getting like...
I don't even think of it. Your brain can really go out there.
Hooved feet.
No. Forget it. Let's go on.
And then I remember the day that I flew. So I'm sitting here at my mom's kitchen table. This is my mother's lovely voice. I've been in Mount Dora visiting my mom for the past 10 days, getting my tank filled with mom love, and it's so nice. It's
been great. Though there were a few cold days.
Yeah, it's cold to you.
Cold to me.
It was 68 degrees yesterday, and my mom was running the heat in the car, and she's
in
wearing.
The house.
It's so funny to see, Toronto's getting smashed with snow, and DC got smashed with snow. All those people were stuck in their cars overnight. And people in Florida walking around with big, heavy winter coats on.
Oh, yeah. Your blood does get thin out here.
That's pretty adorable. So right before I came, I went roller skating in Venice Beach, and I went my normal skate where I used to skate with my dad and sister many years ago, and Ashin and I used to ride bikes at sunset in the same little stretch. Did my normal skate from Venice Beach to the Santa Monica Pier, and then I go back to Venice. And there's this disco roller skate area where people are playing music and they're dancing and doing these backward moves and stuff, and all these fancy roller skate moves. And I asked some woman, how do you skate backwards? And she gave me a really good tip. And I was trying it, and then I slipped. I guess it wasn't that good of a tip. And I landed on my ankle. I sprained my ankle. So instead of cancel this trip, because that was out of the question, I for the first time in my life, I asked for wheelchair assistance on the flights, and it was great. The wheelchair met me at the check-in counter. They took me to the gate. I had a place to sit by the.
That was smart, Tommy, because airports have such long hallways.
There's no way, because I'm limping, and it really hurt the first week. So and I was the first aboard the plane, and then when I landed in Orlando, there was a wheelchair waiting for me, and that guy went unnecessarily fast through the crowd, but he got me to my bag and to the curb, and you picked me up.
That was good.
And another funny thing that happened right before I came here, I had my door open on my in my apartment that goes to my balcony, and a hummingbird got in. And they've gotten in before in my apartment, and I've been able to get up on a stool with this net thingy I have and gently get them outside, and they've all, lived. But I had sprained my ankle, and the next day this hummingbird gets stuck in my apartment. And I said, hey, little buddy, you got to figure this out. And there's this big window above the French doors.
The windows, they hurt.
So he keeps smashing into the window. So they're attracted to red, and I put on a red shirt, and then I got this handheld hummingbird feeder, and I put nectar in it, and I was standing in front under him where the door is open. And I stood there with my hand up, holding this handheld feeder, wearing red, pretending I was a flower.
Did he ever?
No, the bird wasn't falling for it. So I do not look like a flower.
Well, there you go.
Apparently. But we have managed to go. My mom lives not far from Lake Dora, which is this big, spectacular lake. And there's a nature trail, like a wooden boardwalk thing, and it takes you around the edges of the water, and then you go through a wooded area. It's absolutely beautiful. And then there's a little lighthouse on a little mini peninsula on Lake Dora. It's a really great walk. So you actually drove me there.
Well, I didn't want you to strain yourself. Coming back, there is a hill.
There's a hill, and that was very nice. But I did get to hobble on the nature walk.
Yes, you did. And
we've seen alligators and turtles warming themselves in the sun. We actually saw, you pointed it out, that there's a bird with a really long beak, and he catches fish. He spears them. With his little nose. And we saw one that he had just speared a fish. So he had the fish on his long, thin beak, and then he wiggles it off. We see him with the fish on the beak, and then we see him wiggle it off, and then he threw it up and swallowed it.
I could not believe that fish went down that thin throat. But
it's not that big of a bird.
It disappeared down that.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet it wasn't more than an inch around. That his throat was real long and thin.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it, but he did. We have pictures to prove.
Yeah.
He had speared this fish, and the next thing you know, the fish was gone.
And you go for a nice little walk every morning, right?
Every morning I try to go down there. I'm trying to keep healthy and do 5,000 steps.
You got a step counter now. That's awesome.
Yeah, and that is pretty cool.
And it must be so majestic, that morning light.
In the morning it's really nice.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you see baby alligators, and there's 2 spots where they seem to hang out. And there's a tree that has low branches. They're not flying. But it's full of turtles. Usually the turtles will be up on...
They climb up on
yeah.
this crooked, kind of low-hanging branch.
Yes.
And we saw like
They
4 or
sun
5 of
themselves,
them.
yeah.
It was amazing.
It's you can usually count on at least a couple of turtles.
Turtles are always on that spot. I
Usually,
took a picture of it
yes.
and I posted it on my Instagram. And we saw a raccoon in the
Yes,
daytime.
and I hadn't seen a raccoon there, but it came down to the water.
Christina, yeah, it looked like it was fishing. Because it
Not
kept like
sure
poking his paw in the water, like
whatever
trying
he
to
was doing,
grab something.
I hadn't seen one like that before.
And my niece Christina called the raccoon a trash panda.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
But
So
it's a great nature walk, and lots of people walk there. Usually, in the mornings you see the same people, the dog walkers, and it's pretty amazing. Everybody is friendly. They talk to each other. Know all the usual regular.
I remember when I was here.
walkers.
Remember when I was here in May, we met some heart surgeon doctor.
Oh yes.
He was really free because we saw a turtle actually laying its eggs.
Yes, that
and we
was...
stopped and looked, and then this man walked up on
Yeah,
us.
right. It
Yeah.
was...
You're living in a National Geographic episode.
Well,
Mom.
it's really a cool place.
I love Mount Dora, and where I grew up in Oviedo got so built up, and it's still population explosion. And Mount Dora, Highway 441 is kind of out of the town or on the edge of the town, and that's where all the traffic goes. There's a Tom Petty song, "American Girl." She was an American girl. There's a line in there. He goes, because it goes through Gainesville.
Oh,
Tom Petty was from Gainesville. He said she could hear the waves. She could hear the cars roll by out on 441 like waves crashing on the beach.
Huh.
It's a Tom Petty lyric.
Okay.
But now Mount Dora itself has got a really charming downtown. There's not lots of nice restaurants.
Lots of people
And
come here.
a big touristy thing. There's because we used to come here. You and I would take long drives from Oviedo, and I know you love Mount Dora. And there's this Lakeside Inn, this old hotel, and they got a big porch with rocking chairs. And we would always come over here for like an afternoon, and then we always sat on that Lakeside Inn porch and rocked in the rocking chairs for a minute.
It's a very nice hotel. I did stay there once, and the restaurant is pretty good too.
That's cool. And what I liked, and I guess it's the big touristy thing to do, and you paid for it the last time I was here. They have this lake tour. I guess it's a pontoon boat.
Yes.
And you get it right in front of the Lakeside Inn, so I'm
Yes.
guessing they probably own the tour thing or whatever.
It could be. I don't really know.
But it's great, and they take you across the big lake and then over to these canals.
The canal section, I enjoyed the most. It was like Florida must have been when the pioneers got here.
Yeah, really,
Really.
like swampy,
yeah,
Spanish moss hanging from the trees and
And alligators.
little alligator eyeballs sticking up over the water. And
it was really, really cool. But during the weekends, it gets really busy.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so it's
There was a lot of boat traffic,
boat traffic.
on those canals
Yeah,
when we did it.
Yeah.
Like loud teenagers playing
Loud
big, loud
music.
hip hop music while you're,
Yeah, they also have a paddle wheel, a big paddle wheel.
one of those kind of Mississippi riverboat
Yes,
type things.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
But
I've never
of
seen
course,
it.
they don't go on the canals. But we passed by.
Cool.
Oh.
What other charming things can you tell us about your new hometown?
Well, I knew about Mount Dora because of the art shows. There's a lot of art here.
That's what brought you here first?
Yes, art shows. And it gets so busy that you can hardly walk and see all the stuff. But the art shows are fantastic. So when I got here, all I knew was that they had art shows. I didn't really know I kind of knew they had some antique stuff, but they really have a lot of antiques.
Oh my God, this is antique mall heaven over here.
It really is.
Yeah. What's the famous place?
Well, Renninger's is a giant.
Renninger's, that's it. It's
Renninger's.
this big, and it's only Friday, Saturday. It's a big flea market antique mall.
Gigantic.
But there's in Mount Dora, there's Treasure Mart, which is an antique mall, and then we went to another one today in Eustis.
Yes, we found that one today, and it was really nice. Very, very nice.
Yeah, it was really upscale stuff. We saw this, like real rich person phone from like the 30s or 40s, and it was like a sculpture of an elephant, and
yes, and it had a dial.
the dial thing was
And the old-fashioned
finger dial
receiver.
Yeah,
Like the movie stars, you picture a movie star with a long cigarette holder.
cigarette holder.
That kind of thing.
The other cool thing in Eustis, the last time I was here, and you paid for this, was there's a blueberry farm.
Oh yes,
And
that
it was this, and you could, whatever you pay, like $20, and then you pick as much as you want.
Yes.
Or no, they weigh what you
yes,
you do.
yeah.
And it was so fun. Just
Blueberries as far as you
rows
could see.
and rows of massive blueberry bushes, and they were just so full of fat, juicy blueberries. I mean, I ate a ton of them while I was picking them.
They told you could eat whatever, and they had different sections, different
This
types
is
of
a real
blueberries.
charming Florida trip somebody
Yes.
could take to,
And we picked a whole bunch, and I made blueberry jam jelly, and it was good.
It was great.
Yeah. And that was really interesting. And they told us about a peach farm that you could pick things.
Oh, wow.
But we did not do that.
Maybe we could hit the peach farm next time I come.
Okay. Well,
Peaches and blueberries, yum.
well, the blueberries were terrific.
That place was spectacular, and that was
Yeah, it
we
was.
spent like an hour or two there. It was a little sunny, I think, or else we'd have stayed longer.
Oh,
but
and they had sounds like hawks and stuff.
yeah.
Remember that?
yeah, I mean, it would make this like, toosh, toosh. It was some kind of noise, and
Like guns going off.
like guns going off, and
Well,
and
it was supposed to keep the birds.
the birds
from
chase them
coming.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And bird sounds and everything. So it was really interesting. I really enjoyed that.
It's such a great area that you moved to, Mom.
Yeah, I can't believe it. And once a
real-
week, there's a farmer's market in Eustis
Yeah.
that had
Oh, I know you love that farmer. So
Yes.
I've been there with you twice to that farmer. So it's like half, and it's great produce, and it's all really super cheap.
wonderful produce.
And then there's like a flea market side.
yes,
So I really liked it.
it was pretty interesting. You never know what they're going to sell.
Every Thursday, the Eustis Farmers Market.
It's only in the mornings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
8 to 12.
This
or
is
8 to
real
1.
small town
Charm.
Florida swamp charm.
It really is. But there's great restaurants downtown, and I've tried just about every one of them. There's a few I haven't quite hit, but the other day we went to that Italian restaurant.
That Italian one, what was it called? Giovanni's Cafe. It was great.
Yeah.
I love the Thai sushi place.
Oh, the Thai place. Yes, we went there twice.
And then I met Gary McKechnie yesterday at the Cuban place, the Copacabana, which is funny. He said, let's meet at he's lived here for 30 years. And I did open mic nights with this guy. I haven't seen him in, probably since, 37, 38 years. I haven't seen this guy.
Wow.
He only did open mic comedy. He never got past that. And he said, let's meet at the I thought he said Copa Banana, which was the name of the comedy club where we started. Which is straight, it's on 441, and it's all the way to Orlando. And so I thought, wow, this guy's being sentimental. I mean, why can't we just meet in Mount Dora? He lives in Mount Dora. So I thought, okay. So I drove there, and there's a place there called Grills Lakeside. And it's a new restaurant, because the comedy club was on a lake pretty lake. So they have a big patio area. And he wasn't there. It was like, a lot of really country people with camouflage pants and hunting knives on their belts, sitting at the bar drinking. And I called my friend. I'm like, where are you? And he goes, I'm at the Copacabana, a Cuban restaurant in Mount Dora. That restaurant was only 2 minutes from here, and I drove 30 minutes.
Whoa.
But at least I got to see the sacred ground where I did my first open mic night in my career. Because you have to drive over a little railroad track before you get into and there's a hump. And I just remember that, just how nervous I was as a teenager going there to perform for the first time. And then when I was like one of the good locals. Well, how fun it was. Like, there was loads of, like they knew I was underage. The guy that ran the place, Gary posted on Facebook yesterday a picture of us, and the guy who ran the place said, I knew he was underage, but he was that good that I had to let him perform there. I'm like, wow, that's nice to him to say that.
It was a long way from Oviedo.
From Oviedo, that was because it was all country roads to get to Orlando back then. And he said that he made me memorize my false birth year in case anybody asked me.
Oh.
And I was always ready to...
I didn't know you were doing this kind of
stuff.
But
nobody ever asked me. And there were lots of older women who I guess they had some kind of... they enjoyed smooching with a teenager.
Good grief.
So
I'm glad I didn't know what was happening.
There. Jeez.
Good grief. I didn't know until much later. Then you find out.
So I met him, and that Cuban restaurant was good. The Copacabana, not Copa Banana. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, I'm glad you got together with him.
Lovely guy.
Yeah.
Lovely guy.
Well, I just knew about the art in Mount Dora. There's a lot of art here.
And don't they have I see banners on the town. There's a storytelling festival.
Yes.
Coming up.
They have a ton of
at the Lakeside
events.
Inn.
They have a ton of events.
And there's a blueberry festival here, isn't there?
Oh yes, they had like 100 vendors, live entertainment.
At the blueberry festival?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it might have been before you got here. So I went to the blueberry festival, but so many people.
God, I love blueberries. I eat blueberries in California. I do oatmeal and blueberries and bananas. For breakfast.
And that's really healthy.
It's so good. Blueberries make me really happy.
Well, when they had that weekend, the Blueberry Festival, the bad thing is that Mount Dora doesn't really have much parking spaces. They are, I think, thinking about building a big garage, but so far they don't. So parking is kind of a premium here.
Yeah.
So I had taken my car, trying to get closer, and I ended up just coming back, parking in my own spot. I live within walking distance to the downtown.
Yeah, and the coolest thing...
I just parked and walked.
That's awesome, Mom. And that's how close you are to the downtown. And the coolest thing, if you live within, is it 2 miles of downtown or 1 mile?
I think it's 1 mile.
If you live within 1 mile, there's a golf cart with... multiple seating on the back, and you can call them, and this golf cart will come to your house, pick you up, take you downtown, and then they'll take you home, and all you have to do is tip the driver.
Right.
What a great little town.
I know, it's really cool. Yes, so you know, if you go downtown and maybe have too much to
Too bad
drink.
We're not drunks, Mom. We go get plastered and take
They will drive you home. Which is a terrifically good idea.
Yeah, I love it. It's just so many charming, wonderful things about this.
And there's a lot of bed and breakfasts here, and there's a lot to do here. And they have seafood festivals. They have bike weeks. Richard is into bike.
Yeah.
So
when is the seafood festival? I love seafood.
Okay, let's see. Well, they had it in
September. Aha.
So, yeah.
Future planning.
They had bikes, They even had mountain bike festival. Every time you turn around, there's something happening here.
That's
lots of
good.
music events. And
it's better than living in a town with no cheer.
Well, there's
Lots to be cheerful about.
lots and lots, and they have a giant Christmas display, and the lights are still on, thousands of lights.
Oh yeah, and my friend Gilbert King, who won the Pulitzer Prize for his book Devil in the Grove, which was a story that happened not far from here. I think it was in the 50s. These 4 black men were falsely accused of raping a woman, and horrible things happened to all these guys. And Gil King's book is about that. And there was a female journalist who ran a small newspaper in Mount Dora, and she kept writing about it and the corruption in the local government and these nasty things that the police had done to these men who were innocent and other people, and she had her house was bombed. They killed her dog. They burned a cross on her lawn, and she kept writing about it. And so, because of my friend Gil King's book, Gary McKechnie yesterday walked me after we ate in that little where they have the Mount Dora farmers market, that little downtown area. They put a statue to this woman.
I had not seen that before. I didn't even know about it.
And it's awesome that was a byproduct of my friend's book that he had written about her. So I didn't know it had this heroic woman figure from Mount Dora. I guess I should probably read my friend's book. Mabel Norris Reese, that was her name. So maybe one day there'll be statues of us in that little park, Mom.
Well, I'm not sure what for.
For being the most inspiring mother and son
duo.
Yeah.
Well, at that park there is every Sunday they have a farmer's market, and that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Is the produce as good as that Eustis farmer's market?
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of interesting.
But you always load up at that Eustis farmer's market. You bring this basket there.
Yep.
And
yeah, well, I get more than I need, and then I end up having to throw some away.
But you were doing canning.
Yes, I was
last
canning.
Year.
Yeah, that helped.
Yeah.
And I was making jellies, so that helped.
That's wonderful.
They make good presents. People like to get pickles.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Well, and speaking of presents, let's talk about the greatest present of all time. For Christmas and my birthday, my mom, it's taken her a year to make this with her friend Terry, because my mom has been into quilting for the past year. And Terry has this big sewing machine, like for quilts.
Quilting machine.
You need a special quilting machine to
quilt this.
To quilt. And so my mom had this wonderful cloth of like an old faded, like a sea map from it's brownish looking and like
Well, I found that at a giant material warehouse, and I looked at that map, and it looked so old-fashioned, and I thought, oh, isn't this cool? Tommy travels all over the world. Why don't I get this for him and do I was looking for inspiration to do quilts for everybody for Christmas, and so that's how the inspiration happened, seeing that old map, and I thought, well, there must be a way to take your pictures, pictures of you traveling all over the place, and to put it around this map.
You can make pictures. You can make pictures into cloth pictures.
Yes.
And so you asked me to get you all of my best world travel photos.
Yes, in a way it was like, it's not going to be a surprise because that I'm doing a travel.
But what a concept.
Yeah, the idea was pretty good.
And it took me a long time to find all those pictures, and then I sent Terry like 200, at least 200 pictures, probably more, maybe like 300 pictures.
My friend Terry, she's the one who did most of the work. I helped a few days, but boy, she worked and worked on that because you had to get the pictures print the pictures out and get them on cloth, and then there was a way of doing it. You had to iron everything, and it was time consuming. It
Yeah.
took quite a.
She put a lot of work into that.
Yes, she did.
And you also put a lot of work into it.
Yeah.
You hand stitched the edges, right?
And then at the end, I hand stitched the edge.
Yeah.
But that was minor
it's a
compared to the whole thing. But it was. It turned out just wonderful. I'm glad how well it turned out.
I think it's absolutely breathtaking, and I think it belongs. It should hang in the Smithsonian Museum one day. It's. I think it's the greatest quilt ever made.
Well, it has a lot of your life in there.
My whole life, so I can sleep under my accomplishments. Like, what a narcissist.
Well, all the different areas, but of course we didn't know exactly. We try to put the pictures in the areas, but you couldn't just, unless you were there to say this one would go with that one.
No, but you had these kind of like cloth stamp looking things. One's from China, one's from France, and then
they were like stamps. I found that in another material place.
That's so cool. And then you bunched the Paris photos near the Paris thing,
trying to get the ones that were
and then my
obviously
China
from that
pictures
area.
near the China stamp.
Well, the ones that were obviously Chinese or French, that was easy, but there were many that you didn't know where they were, But that was very cool.
I absolutely love it, Mom, and you don't have to get me anything for.
Oh, come on.
The next 10 years.
No, it was.
Hey, it's your birthday. I hope you're enjoying that quilt I gave you 6 years ago.
Never get another present, but it was interesting, the problem was a lot of them were portrait, and then there were landscapes, so you had to figure, and there was a lot of measuring and a lot of math involved. So
you really killed it, and your concept of that to have that idea is just absolutely brilliant, Mom.
Well, it was.
I'm proud to be the child of such an artistic, wonderful person.
Well, good grief. We're
such
all
a great creative
artistic in
person.
different ways, but I was happy with how it turned out. So that's good.
Well, I really appreciate it, Mom. And then we've been watching these documentaries on. You got YouTube hooked up to your television, so we've been watching these History Channel, a lot of documentaries, wow, some of these guys were real assholes. What was the?
We saw two.
What was the first one? The guy was
good heavens! We saw Einstein.
We saw Andrew. We watched Einstein last night.
Yeah, two different documentaries.
So we watched Andrew Carnegie, and he did good. He put libraries around America and the world, and he had the steel company, U.S. Steel, and these strikers struck, and he went on vacation to Europe, and the Pinkerton Detective Service came in and just killed a bunch of people.
There was a lot of bad things that happened there, and I think in a way he did the libraries to kind of make up for the bad things that happened.
Yeah, there was like a lot of child labor, and kids were working in these steel mills at a young age.
Well, things like that were happening all over the place. So, so was the times.
Yeah.
know. But he did try to do something good for the people by having free libraries.
And we love libraries.
We do. And
you took me to libraries when I was a kid, and once a week, and then I'd get to pick out 3 books. And I just thought that was the most... to go into this building and get to pick out any 3 books to take home for a week, that's how I fell in love with books.
Yeah, I love books, so...
Maybe we did that at some Carnegie libraries. Who knows?
Oh, I'm sure that we did. But, so then we saw a great documentary about the Hershey
Milton Hershey.
Milton. Oh, that was really, really.
He was
good.
he's the most heroic guy of all of them that we've seen.
Yes.
Because as he gained his wealth, he kept doing nice things for the people and making sure his workers had nice homes.
He put his factory in the fields of Pennsylvania, and he planned these houses and everything for the workers. So he did like a whole city, So he was really looking out for his workers.
Yeah, I got a whole new impression of Hershey's chocolate now. Like and during the Depression, on the Hershey property, the factory, it was like some big steam engine crane scoop. It was scooping up big hunks of earth and moving it with ease. And somebody said to Milton Hershey, that machine can replace 40 men. And he said, get rid of the machine and bring me 40 men.
Yes,
so he was always like making sure people had
people.
jobs and
Helping people.
yeah. I'm gonna eat more Hershey's chocolate now.
Well, that was really fantastic.
And then last night we watched two documentaries on Einstein. One was about his great achievements as a scientist, and then the other one was about his failures as a man.
Well, he wasn't a very nice person, but he was brilliant and helped this country. He's supposed to be the smartest guy, Well, nobody can say that he wasn't the smartest guy. The science was really interesting. Of course, it's very complicated, but it was really good. I didn't like how he treated women.
Treated his wives pretty bad.
Terrible.
For his first wife, she wanted to be a scientist
she
herself.
She was also a scientist.
He said he just needed a wife to iron his shirts.
Yeah, so got rid of the first one.
And then he gets famous on the second. He married his cousin.
Yeah.
His second wife. And then he gets famous. And then she was like she cooked for him and did all the household chores type, old school wife, which is what he wanted. But he's famous and he's got all these groupies now. And they'd come and pick him up at his place in Princeton, New Jersey, and they'd go to see this opera in the city, and he'd disappear for a couple days. And he said he made them. He just told the women it's okay as long as you bring my wife a box of chocolates.
Good grief! Well,
hey, honey, here's a box of chocolates. I'm gonna go bang this young girl.
Terrible, terrible, terrible. But lots of strong people have weak morals.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. It kind of degrades them a lot.
It was fascinating about his life how
he
needed this solar eclipse, pictures of the solar eclipse to prove his theory that light could be bent.
To get that.
And the first expedition was right as World War I is about to break out, and it could only be seen in Crimea, Russia. This team went there, and they were German, and German astrologers, and there was one American, and they're all set up to take pictures, and World War I breaks out. Germany declares war on Russia. Crimea was part of Russia. And then these Russian soldiers came and found them and confiscated all their equipment, and they never got the...
Put them in jail, except for the American.
Yeah, and he got to leave, but they kept his equipment.
Kept the equipment. So then he tried again the next time.
So it's like, what's it, like every year? So this, like, it takes
whenever there was a
solar eclipse.
So it was
then the next one was in Africa.
Yeah.
And the weather. And then the guy didn't get good pictures.
Yeah.
The pictures didn't turn out right.
Well, you only had a small window to get this. So it was like 4 times.
And then the last time was in Australia.
He had to prove it.
And then then by this time there was like 4 different groups taking pictures of it, and they finally got the picture. And then and then once he proved his theory right from these photos, then he wins the Nobel Peace Prize.
Right. And he had promised the money to his first wife.
Because he had been such a rotten bastard.
Well,
he said, if you divorce me, I'll give you
the money
when I win the Nobel Prize. And he kept his word.
He knew that he would win sooner or later for something.
Yeah.
And he had 2 children and didn't hardly talk to them much, which was bad. Hey.
Yeah.
But anyway, you can't argue that he was a brilliant person that did a lot of good.
Yeah.
Well, that was interesting.
That was interesting. So, any other...
Oh, we played Scrabble.
Oh, we played lots of Scrabble.
And you beat me lots of times.
Because when my mom was with me during the pandemic, you may recall that we played Scrabble every day. So when we're apart, we play Scrabble on our iPhones.
I beat you a few times.
And you beat you've beat me like,
times,
you
yes.
know,
Well,
9 out of 10 times right before I came here. You were stomping me.
It's face to face. You're getting me.
Yeah. But it's cool. I'm looking at my phone when I'm in LA to see if you played, and I get excited when you've played, and then I look at it. I just love that we're constantly got Scrabble games going.
Well, that is good. It's the last thing I do, and the first thing I do in the morning too, to see what you played. Whoa! You usually come up with these long words.
You learned all the best Scrabble tricks from me,
I did.
and then so you're the student has eclipsed the master, as they say. Well, all the best moves. XI, QI. QI is a big one.
ZA.
ZA is a word. And then we just learned the other night, Zama. Z-A-M-A is a word, too.
Yeah. Some weird names, that's for sure.
It's so fun. Scrabble's the best.
Well, it keeps your brain going.
Yeah. Well, I love you so much, Mommy, and it's so wonderful to sit here at your kitchen table and, you know... I love you more than anyone on the planet.
Thanks.
And thanks for any words of wisdom for people of the earth.
Oh, good grief. No, just go outside, get some sunshine and air. Oh.
Yeah, walk around in some nature.
Nature helps.
Nature helps. Okay, Mommy, I love you so much. Thanks for making this recording with me.
Thank you.
Yay. Hooray for mommies. Hooray for my mommy. Wasn't that lovely? Hearing my mom's beautiful voice. I really needed that time with my mom to get my tank filled up on mom love. You know, it's nice to be reminded that you're somebody's kid. You know, when you're out in the world fighting your battles and taking on the big bad world, it's nice to go home and spend time with your parents or your mom or whoever you have left in your life that reminds you that you're loved unconditionally, no matter what your achievements or your failures are. And I love my mom. It's so great that she moved to Mount Dora. She lives not far from Lake Dora, like we talked about. It's just filled. It's like she lives in a National Geographic channel. It's filled with alligators and snakes and turtles and exotic birds, and it's just so lovely going to visit her there. And there's all these great antique stores like we talked about. And, you know, and it was nice spending my birthday with my mom. I had a old friend of mine that I hadn't seen in a long time that came over for my birthday. And I just want to say, you know, I decided never or almost never, as much as I can possibly, never to talk to my mom about politics or her stance on being against getting vaccinated, just because she's locked in. And what does it matter? You know, she's made her choice. I've stated my case. I love her. I want her to live as long as possible because I need her. Anywho, I had a friend come over on my birthday, and, you know, we brought out the cake that I paid for myself. I had to pay for my own birthday cake. And this guy was just angry about everything and the world and the government and the vaccine and saying how it's all a bunch of bullshit. And, you know, I tried to tell him, or I did tell him, that, you know, you can believe whatever you want, but the people who need to be vaccinated are obese people, smokers, seniors, and people with pre-existing conditions. You know, you can believe whatever the fuck you want to believe, but that's a fact that these at-risk people are dropping dead from this virus and shit. So That was kind of an unpleasant moment on my birthday, and I think that's the worst thing about the pandemic is that people that you really care about proving themselves to be ignorant fuckwits. And other than that, I had a really great trip to my mom's. I wanted to tell you a story. I didn't bother bringing it up to her while we were recording because her and I had already talked about this at length. But my mom, so she moved to Mount Dora a year ago, and she's going to a new church. And I like going to church with my mom because it's important to her. And, she's so well versed on scripture, and she's been praying for me my whole life, and just always reminding me that I'm a blessing to the earth, and that being funny is like being a holy man because you bring relief to other people. So last May, when I went to visit my mom for the first time, I went with her to her new church. And when I go to church, I like to dress up because I have respect for the Word of God, and I think you shouldn't go there dressed like a slob. But this is a small town in Florida. When I went there last May, it was hot, and I would say 80% of the men that were there were wearing shorts and flip-flops, and I counted 4 or 5 baseball hats. And I don't think you should ever wear a hat in a place of worship. And so people wearing shorts and T-shirts and flip-flops, and the pastor, this guy's from South Africa, he's wearing jeans and a black T-shirt. And he's going on about, he did this big sermon about how you shouldn't spend money on nice clothes. And I'm looking around at the congregation and I'm thinking, oh, these people have heard this sermon before. So I went back and I couldn't believe it this time. Last Sunday, first of all, this guy, he comes out again in jeans and a black T-shirt. And, which I like to wear jeans and a black T-shirt, but I'm not a preacher. I'm a comedian. And first of all, he did this big anti-abort. He did a big push for money at the beginning because the church has this anti-abortion outreach program where they counsel women, young women, against deciding to get an abortion. And it was this. He did a big money push last May when I was there also for them to buy their church home, which they have since bought. But then now it's this big push for money again. And then I couldn't believe it. The guy went on again for 10 minutes he told the story about when he was a youth minister, there was a girl that always dressed like $1 million. She always looked great. And he asked her one time, why does she always dress so nicely? And she said, I don't dress to impress, I dress to express. And he said, I've been chewing on that statement for 20 years now, and I still haven't figured it out. But what I think it meant was that she was, or the way, what he got from it, that he turned into this sermon, was that you shouldn't spend your money on nice clothes. He emphasized this again. And granted, I did not see anybody wearing shorts this time, but it was January and it was cold and raining on that day. But fortunately, there were no baseball hats on this Sunday when I went. So the people had stepped it up a little bit on their dress. But the guy went on again about not spending your money on nice clothes. And he said, you should... He said, you're not fooling God. God knows what kind of person you are, and God knows, your actions, and that you should be living your life to express that you're a Christian or a child of God or a follower of Christ, however he put it, and that you shouldn't dress to impress. And there I am, and I'm not even like, I got... a button-up shirt. I think you should wear a button-up shirt when you go to church with a collar, and just a simple black sport coat blazer. But I'm feeling like, I don't know. I was like the nicest dressed male participant of this congregation, and I was blown away. I thought it was a one-off anomaly that the last time he had gone off about this nice clothes, but then he kind of turned it into. He was like he told a story about. He said, "I know a lot of people are suffering now and struggling, and to give you an idea of the kind of struggles I've had this past week, I was in line at the drive-thru at McDonald's, and I was upset to find out that their McFlurry machine was broken. And if it stays broken much longer, I think this church should raise some money to get their McFlurry machine fixed." Now, I think he was being funny. I think he was trying to be funny, but, in a world where, there's unemployment, the country's on the verge of civil war, and, people are dropping dead from the virus or bullets or whatever circumstance, I thought, like, he kind of, like, this is his stage, and it felt like a hack open mic night, because hack comedians do jokes about McDonald's drive-thrus when you're starting out and you go to and then also toilet humor, which is where he went next in the sermon. He said that one of his kids had told his wife that he wanted to be more helpful around the house, and he went into the bathroom, and the toilet paper was empty off the spool, and the kid, instead of putting the fresh roll of toilet paper on the spool, the way you're supposed to do it, the kid had just put the fresh roll of toilet paper sideways on top of the empty spool. And he said, like, okay, so picture the stage, and then on the back wall of in the center of the stage is a huge white neon cross. And then on either side of the cross is a big screen television where, when he's quoting scriptures, they'll put the scriptures up on the big screen, and then he goes, "Look at this," and he showed a picture of the toilet paper rolls on top of a roll on either side of our most sacred symbol of Christianity, the toilet paper rolls. And I just thought, like, okay, a drive-through joke and then a toilet joke. And like a lot of religious people often will get upset in comedy clubs if a comedian will do a Jesus joke. And yet here are these people in this church tittling at this homespun yarn of the kid who was too lazy to change the toilet paper roll properly. And he's got pictures on either side of our most sacred symbol in Christianity of the thing that you wipe your ass with. And I didn't think that was cool at all. And then he turned that tale into an anecdote of how are you not properly serving God by doing something the way it should be done. And, granted that this wasn't the guy's best sermon. As a comedian, it's hard enough to come up with an hour, and it takes a few years. And, pastors have to, come up with a new hour every week. But it was, I mean, I'm not easily offended, but I guess I was offended at the ass wiping paper on either side of the cross. That didn't sit well with me. And I guess the message that I got from the guy's sermon was, and then it was another big push for money at the end. And the message that I got from the guy's sermon was that you shouldn't spend money on nice clothes or nice things for yourself. You should give it to the church, and every once in a while, get yourself a McDonald's McFlurry. Just to spoil yourself. But the nicest thing for me, I don't care who the pastor is or what the church is I like going to church, and I like sitting next to my mom and holding hands with my mom. That's just a pleasant moment. And it's a great place that she lives. I hope I have shitty enough clothes to return to that church one day. I'll definitely be wearing shorts and flip-flops, not a baseball hat. But what's wrong with people looking decent, you know? I love Van Gogh, and Van Gogh, he was a preacher in this mining area of Belgium, and he looked like shit. He was preaching. He had given away all of his clothes, and the clergy who came to monitor what he was doing there thought that he should dress nicer to represent the Word of God. But I think that's a whole different ball game. What happened to putting on your Sunday best and going to church? Anyway, I just wanted to share that cute little tale with you. I'm hobbling around on a sprained ankle, and I had a few very nice things happen recently. How about that? In the Netherlands, speaking of the Netherlands, they did this really cool thing this past week. They've been on a hard lockdown since December with the variant raging, and the only places that are open are essential businesses like going to the grocery store or getting your hair done at a salon or nails. So the Van Gogh Museum and the Mauritshuis Museum, and I think like 3 or 4 other museums in Holland brought in hairdressers and barbers and nail technicians and let people get their hair cut or their nails done in the museums. How cool is that you would be sitting there and, looking at a Van Gogh? I think it's why I love the Dutch, for their creative ways of protesting. I may have talked about that with my mom. Forgive me if I'm repeating this, but I'm recording this like a week later, not a week later, 3 or 4 days later. And I just wanted to add a little bit to this episode to say thank you to a few people. And there was a woman, I couldn't find her name, but someone became a new $5 Patreon person. You can go to my Patreon, Tom Rhodes Radio Smart Camp. And that really meant a lot to me. I send out postcards to my $20 Golden Buddha people every month. I wish I was wealthy enough to send stuff to the $5 and $10 people, because it's so meaningful and important to me. And it felt like this person was giving me a kiss. Hey, Tom, know you've been struggling lately, and just want you to know that I'm still have faith in you and your ability to entertain me. And I got a wonderful email from Michael in London telling me all about his life and updating me. And he lives in the Chingford area of London, which is where I stayed for 2 months when I was opening for Reginald D. Hunter in 2019. So I can picture his area and the life that he's living there. And I really like knowing what's happening with my people. I communicated with Dean up in Alaska. It's cool to know what's going on with him. Jason in Phoenix sent me some Tom Rhodes stickers. The cover of my album, The Honky Motherland, he had made stickers. And he had them made up for me, and he was apologizing in the card he sent that he had tried to make them bigger sized, but they came out like stamp sized stickers. And I love stickers, and I think they're awesome. And I also love stamps, so I think they're really awesome that they're these little beautiful Tom Rhodes stamp size stickers. And I haven't written you back, Jason, but that also meant the world to me. And lastly, I want to thank Peter in Manchester, New Hampshire, who's been a great supporter, not only financially, but with uplifting words. He wrote me a great, beautiful, long email. And the thing that stood out for me and gave me fuel and hope, he said, Tom, I want you to realize that you are like someone's favorite sports team. That there's a lot of people out here cheering for you and always wanting you to do well. And wow, that's just, I am getting misty just speaking those words out loud. I never looked at it like that. And, I appreciate the support, and I want you guys to spend all your money on nice clothes. And you deserve it, man. Take care of yourselves. I appreciate you taking care of me. I appreciate the people who reach out to me and let me know that you're cheering for me. And to think that I'm like someone's favorite sports team just almost makes me want to weep with gratitude and my sincere love and affection. So take care of yourself, splurge on yourself. And, hooray for humanity. And thank you so much for listening to my podcast. I'm feeling so much better these days. And, and I'm not going to give up on learning. I mean, I twisted my ankle trying to learn how to skate backwards. And I've joked before that once I learn how to skate backwards, I'm going to buy some tight orange satin shorts. But I do think somewhere that roller disco is the only thing that can save this planet. We all need more laughter in our lives, and we need more roller skating and roller boogie. So get yourself some skates. Hooray for humanity. I love you so much. I'm giving you a warm, loving hug right now. And I love each and every one of you. Hooray for humanity. Mwah.
Tom Rhodes, you're a funny man. Tom Rhodes, you're an international comedian. Tom Rhodes, karate kick, baby, oh yeah. Tom Rhodes, you're a groovy dude. You go all around the world, telling jokes to all of the people. You are an international comedian. You're funny to everybody in every single country in the world. Tom Rhodes, I like you very much. I think you're talented and very wonderful. Tom Rhodes, you're the best guy in the world. I wanna be your friend, you should call me sometime. Here is my phone number, 603-644-0048. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tom Rhodes, you're an international comedic sensation. Tom Rhodes, I like to listen to your podcast. Tom Rhodes, you're the best man to ever walk on the earth.